Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Brad sent me notes that Steve checked story out from your neck of the woods, as they say, from Click on Detroit, which is WDIV, Channel 4 in Detroit. Oakland County woman charged with fraud after reporting her car stolen and forging title to hide the lien. And it's kind of a crazy story, but Oakland County, of course, is the county where I grew up in Birmingham, Michigan. And so Oakland County is something I'm very familiar with. And this area they're talking about, Clarkston, Michigan, where this happened, is where Pine Knob Music Theater is. When I was growing up, all the hot bands played at Pine Knob. And we always wanted to go out there and see the shows. So Derek Hutchinson wrote the story about the Oakland County woman facing fraud charges after she reported her car stolen and forged a title to hide there was a lien on the vehicle in order to collect $42,000 from her insurance company. Now, she's 32 years old, she lives in Clarkston, and she's accused of filing a false insurance claim after reporting her car stolen in 2020. Authorities said she knowingly submitted a forged title to State Farm Insurance that concealed the lien on her vehicle. She's accused of claiming there was no lien and saying that she had installed wheelchair equipment on the vehicle, increasing its value. She got a check from State Farm for $42,000 as a result of this, according to the company. Now, state officials worked with the Michigan Attorney General to pursue the case against the woman in an attempt to recover the money. The Attorney General says people who commit insurance fraud have a potential impact on all drivers in Michigan. My department is committed to pursuing these cases and holding accountable those who defraud the system. The woman's charged with false pretenses, that is, obtaining money under false pretenses, between $20,000 and $50,000, forgery of license documents / plates, and fraudulent acts. And yeah, it is against the law to forge titles and so on. The false pretense is charged as punishable with up to 15 years in prison. The forgery charge is 1 to 5 punishable. And the fraudulent acts charge is up to 4 years. Now, DIFS Director Anita Fox says, lying to an insurance company in order to receive more money for a claim than is warranted is a crime and can drive up insurance premiums for all Michiganders. And again, I don't like that demonym, I like Michiganian, but that's okay. Brown was arraigned Wednesday at 52-1 District Court as being held on $5,000 cash bond. And I actually drove by that courthouse yesterday. Probable cause conference is scheduled for August 26th and preliminary examination is scheduled for August 31st. So these are simply accusations at this point. And we'll have to see if she gets bound over for trial, as they say, see if she gets actually tried or if they work out some kind of deal. And if she gets tried, let's see what happens with respect to a verdict. So it's all speculation at this point, but the allegation is that she owned a car that had a lien on it. She takes out insurance on it, and then the allegation is she reports it stolen, the car disappears, and she submits documentation to the insurance company saying, I owned it outright, I'd done all these modifications to it, and it was worth all of this. The real question is, they say that she had done some modifications by installing equipment on the vehicle for a wheelchair. Did she have receipts for that? And if so, where do those receipts come from? And are they an accurate representation of money that she actually spent someplace? Because in this scheme as described, and again, I don't know if it happened, I'm simply talking about the facts as they're described here, that somebody who might forge a title might also forge documents to indicate that this stuff was put there. The other question I have is, was the vehicle ever found? And I've heard stories in the past of people who take a vehicle and they make it disappear somehow. And if no one can ever find it, well, that's one thing. But of course, these vehicles sometimes do turn up. And you'll hear about crazy stories where they, the stuff they're finding right now in lakes out west where the water levels dropped. Things they're finding are things like, cars or bodies, So obviously there wouldn't be any bodies involved in this, most likely. But the question is, where did the car go? Where did the car go? And that's the thing I'm very curious about. But also, I've heard stories before where people say, I had an insurance claim and I said that I lost this stuff, and they went over it with a fine-tooth comb, and they're saying, prove this, prove this, prove this, prove this. So I highly doubt that the insurance company is going to pay this claim, and elevate how much money they pay her without documentation of the installation of the wheelchair equipment. And so if she gives them a stack of receipts and a forged title as alleged, somebody, an insurance investigator, is going to say, well, let's call this company and see what they say. So if they called the company and the company said, yeah, we did actually install a bunch of stuff in the van, we got the records right here. Insurance company might say, can we see that stuff? And the question then is, did she really do it, or are these people helping her? Because you do not, in this life, want to get involved with anybody who's breaking the law in any way if you can avoid it. I'm an attorney. I tend to think very, very defensively. But as you can imagine, if somebody said, hey, can I get you to dummy up some receipts for me? And you go, oh, okay. And so you dummy up some receipts. Why do you want those? Oh, I'm going to file an insurance claim and say that I bought all this stuff from you. Oh, guess what? You are now possibly implicated in the situation. And I remember when I worked at the gas station. I worked at a gas station in high school. I've talked about this before. I pumped gas. Later on, I drove a wrecker, tow truck. And I spent a couple of years working there. I got to know all kinds of people in the community because it was the gas station where almost everyone in the area bought their gas. And people brought their cars in for repairs, and I towed a lot of people's vehicles. And so there was a guy who used to come into the gas station who lived right up the road, and he would come in and he'd ask if he could get some of our blank receipts. So in the old days, a credit card would go into a machine called an imprinter, and you'd put the credit card in there, and then you put the thing on top of it, which is how you're going to create the receipt, and it's got a carbon in there, and you press it all down, and you set the dollar amount that the charge is going to be for by spinning these dials, and then you'd take this thing and go clunk, clunk across it, and doing that would imprint so that all this stuff's got imprinted using the carbons onto the paper. And then you'd have the customer sign it, you'd give them one copy, and you keep the other copy. And this guy would come in and go, can I have some of your blank receipts? And I wouldn't give them to him. I'm like, no, we're not allowed to give those away. And then what would happen is he'd wait till someone else is working and come in and go, hey, can I have a stack of those blank receipts? And they go, oh, sure, and they hand him a bunch of blank receipts. Now, the name of the gas station was not imprinted on them. But what I believe he was doing is he was taking them and filling them out as if they were receipts, and then tearing off the top part, which is the part you would normally get to keep, and throwing away the part that we would have kept. And I think he was turning those in either to his employer, saying that he had, put gas in the car or company car or something, or possibly for tax purposes. Now, I'm not saying we would have been implicated if we had said, here's a bunch of blank receipts, knock yourself out. But you don't want to even be standing near that when it happens, if you know what I mean. So I always tell people that if somebody's doing something bad, okay, and you ask yourself, how could I get in trouble from this? Probably lots of ways that you haven't thought about. So stop and think, gee, what happens if this person gets in trouble for what they're doing? And what if they point at me and say, they helped me? Now suddenly you got problems. So got to be very, very careful. But this story is happening in Oakland County, Michigan, Clarkston District Court. And we'll see. I will update you as the story progresses if we learn more. But as of right now, Click on Detroit says, and Derek Hutchinson wrote this. Brad sent it to me. Oakland County woman charged with fraud after reporting car stolen and alleged to have forged the title to hide a lien. Again, trying to get money from the insurance company. That's the allegation. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. You need the rain to appreciate the sun, darkness to appreciate light, people to appreciate solitude.